Valerie. So happy to be here with you this morning as I woke up and initiated my morning routines. I then finished and started work and started to go through my live stream, well, my streams, largely my Facebook feed after a period of having my own devotions and reflections. And instantly, I went into a group that I haven't been a part of or been looking at their feed for a while, and there it was, a stream of, I guess, quite distressing posts, basically asking for how do I actually get out of this exhaustion? What self care practices do you have? And well meaning responses that give what other people have done. And I suppose it can also be like another set of rules that you've got to now do. And the thing about self-care and the self-care movement is it's a lot like putting a band-aid on a gaping wound. You actually really have to understand what the wound is in order to put the right thing on. So I want to talk about three areas that I see in my work that contribute to exhaustion. Number one is the daily grind. Now, the daily grind is essentially just whatever life is dishing out at you at the moment. If you have a business, if you work in a high intensity job, if you have got young children, if you are commuting, the daily grind. The daily grind can change. It can have been there for a while. And essentially, your routines and rituals and your habits and your self care patterns and practices help with the daily grind, because what you're trying to do is to put things into place so that the grind doesn't wear you down. The second source of exhaustion comes from what I call the bleed factor. The bleed factor is where you've actually got multiple areas in your world that are in flux and that is providing stress. And in modern society, this is the area where a lot of exhaustion happens because we have to perhaps take care of family members, or you've got your own health to watch over if you've got family members with special needs. So the bleed factor is not just your own daily grind and the work or study context that you're in, but it's also the lingering demands that aren't going to disappear either because of the situation in your life or season of life. So that very often is not just a self-care thing, because self-care practices is a lot like, it's not really the petrol in your tank. If you're thinking about a car, it's a lot like maybe just having, the windscreen wipers sort of clear the dust and the fog a little bit when things are getting, unclear. The more you do that, and the more you wipe down that windscreen, the clearer your perspective is. So it takes more than self care to actually help you to work through that. And I think that there is, and this is the reason why some people feel like they're failing in self care, or you can even get frustrated when well meaning friends say, well, eat, sleep, and exercise. How's your self care? Well, that doesn't always help in compounded stress situations. The third area that we can find ourselves being coming from exhaustion is that we are in structural erosion, or situations where um, there's problems basically with the way that the setup is, and it's your internal responses, our stuff, the internal struggle. You can't get out of those situations, and you then have an internal struggle. So there's suffering involved, there's brokenness involved, there's rejection and hurt and abandonment and those sorts of things. And that's very often the space of where therapy comes in with a psychologist or a counselor, to actually help you to uncover where you're actually getting stuck in the web of the situation. So as I was flicking through my feed, I started to feel very, very burdened, because one of the things that I particularly want to speak out against is that self care is the answer to all problems to do with fatigue, exhaustion, discouragement, depression, sadness, anger. It really isn't. And the more we push that as a solution, the more people will feel like they fail because, like I said, there are these three categories that I've talked about, and there are more. It requires more than just what you can do as an individual in your care practices and routines. Hopefully, that sparked a little bit of thought in your world, and I hope a little bit of self compassion as well if you've been struggling with self care and it doesn't seem to alleviate the exhaustion that you're feeling. There's probably some very good reasons for it, and I'd love for you to reach out for some help to try to figure out what's the petrol in the tank that you need, and also potentially what are some of the internal struggles that you're dealing with that possibly need professional help. Reach out, send me a message. You know where to find us as well, the Center for Effective Living, www.effectiveliving.com.au. If you're looking for a way to work through some of those routines, rituals, patterns, and habits, and spend some reflective time figuring out where the leaks are in your own exhaustion, join me on Thursday. Details in the comments.